Okay, so our next step is to determine the class boundaries of our second class interval. So our second class interval is 16 to 19. So what we will do is to get the value halfway between the upper and the lower class limit of adjoining classes. So the adjoining classes that we have will be the class interval 1, okay, the class interval 1, and then the class interval 2 that we have here. All right, now um, uh, the adjoining classes of these two classes, which is the upper class limit of the previous class interval and then the lower class limit of our second class interval, we're going to get the value halfway between them, and that is 15 plus 16 divided by 2, that will give us 15.5. Let me make some corrections here. This will be 15 plus 16. Okay, so we come up with 15.5. So take note, this 15.5 is exactly what we also have as the upper class boundary of the first class interval. This one will have an implication later on with the histogram that we're going to come up with. Okay, so that's why the upper class boundary of the previous class interval will be equal to the lower class boundary of the next class interval. Okay, sige, let's continue. Now, what about for its upper class limit? So we will consider the upper, or we're looking for the upper class boundary. So we will consider for, the upper class limit of this interval and the lower class limit of the next class interval. So in this case, we will get the value which is halfway between 19 and 20, and that will be equivalent to 19.5. Okay, now if you notice, I can continue. We will do the same up until we come up with the class boundaries until the sixth class interval. But notice, 11.5 to 15.5, what we are simply doing is adding 4. Why are we adding 4? So 11.5 plus 4 is 15.5. So if we add 4 to that, we come up with 19.5. So 15.5 plus 4 is 19.5, which is the value which is halfway between 23 to 24, wherein 24 is the lower class limit of the fourth class interval. So the fourth class interval that we have is 24 to 27. So they will correspond, all right? In the same manner, 19 plus 4 will give me 23.5, which is the value halfway between 23 and 24 that we have here. Okay, so that is one way to do it. Why are we adding 4 to the previous class boundaries? We are adding 4, it's because our class width or the class size is equal to 4. So as we continue up until the sixth class interval, we are actually going to come up with the values that we have in our table. Okay, so let us have that.